Hey, I'm Milan from Black Sun Empire.
And I'm Misha from the same boy band.
And you're watching D&B TV. You're locked into D&B TV and I'm joined here today on the rooftop with two of the brothers from the Dutch trio Black Sun Empire. How are you both?
Great, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. It was raining in Holland.
So let's dive straight in first of all. Obviously only two of you are here today.
Yeah.
We have a saying in this country which is two's company but three's a crowd. Your success seems to defy that old saying. Do you think being a threesome ever comes with its difficulties?
We just found our way to work with the three of us. Sometimes it's hard, of course, but two people as well. Like, if he has an idea and I disagree, then the third one can be like decisive one, you know, like it's always two against one.
Yeah.
But sometimes we all agree, and then it's
Then it's problems. Perhaps the fourth member needed. I will happily volunteer.
Yeah.
So do you all fulfill different roles within the trio?
No, not really. We all started producing around when we were 16 or something. So we've been doing it for a while, and yeah, I think all of us can make beats and bass. And structure-wise, it just all varies, you know.
And did you all come together from your love of production? If you wanted to make music, was that what brought you together initially? Or?
Well, we're a family, so we had no choice. No, yeah. You know, I met in high school, and that's how they hooked up, and that's when the era of electronic dance music was getting bigger and bigger. We were just really drawn to that and started making music.
Listen, and I'm turns and twists.
So let's chat briefly, obviously, about From the Shadows. So what inspired the title behind that?
You know, we're called Black Sun Empire, so a black sun, there's no light. Nothing can emerge from that, but the music does, so stepping outside. We just actually thought it was a really cool thing.
And Black Sun Empire itself, I heard on the grapevine that it kind of came from something to do with Star Wars. Tell me a little bit about that.
Our babysitter, when we were really young, liked Star Wars, just around the time the first or the second movie came out. So when we were like 5, 6, he showed us Star Wars and kind of grew up with it. We started collecting the toys, reading the books.
Yeah, it's not directly from Star Wars. It's not in the books, I think, but you know, yeah, it's definitely Star Wars related. Yeah.
So obviously the album's back to purist drum and bass. What inspired the move back from obviously the more experimental stuff you've been doing back in 2010 with Lights and Wires? What inspired you back?
Well, we always like to make all kinds of music, and we always have been doing that and still are, but this era we just wanted to make drum and bass again because there's so much else going on.
Yeah.
We were just like, this is the music we fell in love with and still are, and it just happened. It wasn't thought through thing. It was just like, oh yeah, let's do another one and let's do another one. And eventually like, oh, we only have one different track, maybe.
5 albums now, is it? You've done?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's quite an achievement. Is there anything different every time you come to the table? Is there anything different about the process in which you make an album, or do you follow the same sort of format every time?
Nah, we always struggle. Especially near the end, it gets really hard, but yeah, nah, there's no formula for making an album.
So what would you say is the most rewarding part about making an album?
Well, for this time, we wanted to use vocals. Actually, making that work was probably both the biggest reward in the end, but it was probably the biggest struggle as well.
It's quite frustrating as it gets, but perfect. And for you, what would you say would be the most rewarding part of making an album?
Actually having the product and getting reactions from people that were like waiting for it, that's the best part. Now when it's actually done 3 weeks later, people are like, yeah, it's good, or it's bad. It doesn't really matter when it's just finished and you're happy with it. Because just before it's done, you start hating yourself. And that's not true.
So obviously there are a lot of impressive collaborations on this new project. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and how much you work with?
Of course you have the guys from Noisia, friends, always good fun. Walter cracks me up.
Yeah, that was it.
The work turned out really well. The other producers are just people we invite to our night called Blackout in Utrecht and ask them to stay around for a few days. Get into the
But
studio.
that gets quite interesting.
A bit warm, a bit sweaty. Some of them, you know, end up being nothing. The other tracks are really good, and we decide to release them. And then you have the vocal tunes, one with Foreign Beggars, which turned out great. And there's this girl singer. I actually went to a band, Belgian band, onto a concert, and I was like, wow, her voice is really good. So we actually just contacted them to see if she. Yeah, and it was like, do you want to do a collab? And she was like, yes, but we never actually met in person.
Oh really? That's a bit bizarre. How is that working with people that you've never met in person? Obviously working. Do you reckon technology perhaps helps the production process these days?
Absolutely,
It's easier?
yeah, absolutely. Internet is great help. Yeah, for example, that girl, that's weird because she's not in our scene and we've never met her, and she sent something which was really good. And we were like, wow, that's great. But you know, a lot of the people that we work with through the internet, we do know, you know, so that's a big difference.
Here's an interesting thought. How do you think you guys would succeed now with all the modern technology around rather than 12 years ago when you first started? How do you think it would be different from then?
Yeah, I think it would be loads different. Like when we started, the scene here in London was closed, you know. It was really hard for people from abroad to get in and to get in contact with labels. And now with internet, it's so much easier to reach out to labels. Back then it was probably way less people making music, I think.
Yeah. Software is so accessible now
Yeah,
as well, and everyone will
absolutely.
just go out and invite themselves. They can make a track themselves as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you think that makes it perhaps easier for people to produce music? There is a lot of music out there, things like SoundCloud, you've got Mixcloud, people making, producing tunes and putting it out there. Do you think it's harder to get noticed perhaps? Or
Harder to get noticed, yeah, possibly, yeah. I think the quality standard, especially for the production, you know, went through the roof. I mean, it's not just production quality, you know, the tunes have to be good as well. That's to be interesting.
Do you think it's easier to find that new talent because it's so there and readily available for you, or?
Not easier because you get so much. You're like, oh no. Not again. No. It's not easier because the percentages probably of good tunes is basically still the same, I think. So, but it's different, you know. People can just like go on YouTube, look at a tutorial. How do I make that kind of bass? And then you see someone actually do all the moves, and you can copy them without actually hearing what you're doing. So you don't learn by hearing it, but just by copying it, basically. So things kind of change. We just had to buy a sampler, synthesizer, and just like
Sit there.
why is it not doing
Fiddle
anything?
about,
But so the process was slower, but therefore maybe the drive was bigger.
Yeah.
Maybe if I was born 10 years later, I wouldn't have that drive. But you know, I don't know. It could have been either way. It's still hard. You still have to like work to come afloat in between everything else. And be like, yes, pick me.
So in that case, just as like, if you give one more piece of advice, obviously you said to people, don't give out your tunes for free. Give one piece of advice for successful music production, rather than, obviously you need drive behind you. Give one piece of advice for those people out there at the moment that are trying to break into this.
Whoa. I mean, tutorials really help. Like they show you how to make a beat sound or to make a bass. But for me and for I think all of us, like just make the music you really want to make and not copy anyone else that you think, oh, I want to make a lot of music, I want to be famous. It's never really gonna work. You'll end up standing in clubs, be like, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? You know, I make money, but for us, it's never been the drive to be famous. We just love what we do. Yeah, that's a tip.
Well, thank you very much for joining me on the rooftop here today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish you both the very best.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.